Hello viewers, hello lovely viewers. I'm here with these two people who are holding me hostage. I mean, are my best friends, Mega and Nixter. And by best friends, I mean eldritch beings whose true forms would cause your eyes to melt out of your skull.
The creature.
The creature. And the sample guy.
Sample guy.
It's Nixter. Okay, actually, let me slow down. And now, back to the show. So Nixter has made a Pride Month Topster. And you guys can look at it right here, and you can pause to read it if you guys want. And there's all the colors on the pride flag. Albums that coincide with it. Are all of these albums by queer artists? No, but that's okay. But anyways, I was inspired by this. I'm gonna do my own Pride Month Topster with other albums that inspired me. And I think that's cool. Anyways, let's get started. Okay, Red. To start with Red albums, now, this isn't necessarily by a queer artist, but this is an artist who is undeniably a queer, a gay icon. Kendrick Lamar, Damn. Now, Damn is an album that, it's not explicitly about queerness, like, at all. And Kendrick Lamar, as far as I'm aware, is straight and obviously cisgender, but he's allied himself with the LGBTQ community. So, I'm putting him on here. Damn is honestly probably my least favorite album by him, but it is also one of his most popular albums, and it's still an amazing album in its own right. The beat work on it is phenomenal, and it also features, quite frankly, one of the best Rihanna performances on Loyalty. But yeah, it's got such iconic songs on it. DNA, Loyalty, and of course, the #1 single, Humble. But my personal favorite has to be Love. That's a song that is just so romantic, and even though it's in a straight context, I feel like it could be used as an iconic pride anthem. That's just my opinion. Anyways, for the next Red album, this is another artist who's undeniably a queer icon, Bjork. This is like her only Red album, and comparatively this is also not one of my favorite albums by her, but I do still enjoy it quite a lot. You know, it's iconic, she's iconic, end of story, really. And, you know, this one's kind of an obvious choice-ish, but, you know, fellow straight artist who's out and so is the queer community. Let's go with Taylor Swift, Red. Taylor's version, of course, even though I guess that doesn't really matter as much anymore since she bought back her masters, but still, that's my choice. I'm not sure what I would do for Volta, but for Taylor Swift, I'd have to say the best pride anthem here, honestly, has got to be Starlight. That is a heterosexual song in context, but the song where she basically role plays as Robert Kennedy's wife, that's gay. That's so gay. Yes, I bet you guys thought I was gonna say a lover and you need to calm down, but I was not. Let's go with an actually queer artist. This woman is bisexual. Kali Uchis, Red Moon and Venus. Now this is an amazing record. Kali Uchis just has such a good track record. Red Moon and Venus is an absolutely awesome album. I love her voice. Kali Uchis' voice is so angelic. I did a mashup of her with Red Moon and Venus. Has a lot of amazing songs. I don't know if there's exactly a Pride Month anthem on it, and I guess you could argue that it's more orange than red, just if you just look at the cover, but, I mean, it has the word red in the title, and, you know, she's got, like, red on her, so I feel like it kind of just makes the most sense. I guess I Wish You Roses is a pretty good Pride anthem. I mean, it's definitely one of the best songs of hers that I can think of. Another one that's not really inherently queer, but let's be real, LGBT people absolutely love this band. I'm actually going to put in the Talking Heads' debut album. Now again, this is not really like a queer album explicitly, but you know, it resonates a lot with queer people, just the sort of unorthodox nature of the music, which out from the beginning, and like Psycho Killer is just one of the most iconic new wave songs pretty much ever. I love it, Nixter loves it, Mega loves it. I suppose for a pride anthem off of it, I guess I would say maybe the opening track, Uh-Oh, Love Comes to Town. And finally, for the red section, I'm gonna go with Sebastian's remix compilation. Now, once again, this is another case where the artist is straight, and, well, he hasn't even explicitly, like, aligned himself in favor with the LGBT community or anything, but I'd say he's a gay icon. I mean, come on. His debut album cover is literally him kissing himself. How much more obvious can you get? And, well, I guess really, you could pick any remix off of here, but I'm gonna go with Human After All. His remix of Human After All for that. You know, it was what Daft Punk said was their favorite remix of any of their songs, and, you know, I feel like just that sort of theme of, I guess just like that declaration of, oh, we are human. Like, yeah, sure, it's just about, like, robots and stuff, but there's a queer context to it. Like, let's be honest here. And now for Orange, guys. Flower Boy, Tyler, the Creator. Now, Tyler, the Creator, this is where he came out as bisexual, pretty much. This is where the I've been kissing white boys since 2004 lyric came from. And while I'd say he didn't really lean into the queerness until Igor, that this whole album, it feels very much like he's coming to terms with his sexuality. I would say that the obvious has got to be Garden Shed. I mean, come on, that's a song that's basically just about coming out of the closet. And also, this album is where I feel like I really started getting into Tyler, the Creator, because, you know, he's always been like a genius songwriter and producer and all of that, but I've never been like a big fan of shock rap type stuff. So having his music be more mellowed out here really like made me feel better. And, you know, speaking of Kaliushis, there's also the iconic collaborations See You Again, with not just her, but with Steve Lacy as well. I believe there's a Frank Ocean appearance on this album. Steve Lacy's bisexual, and so is Frank Ocean. And you know what? Speaking of Frank Ocean, I'm going to be even more obvious. You know, the other Odd Future member that famously came out as bisexual, Frank Ocean, Channel Orange. I mean, yeah, to be honest, I think that you all, my viewers, could have probably seen that coming from a mile away. Okay, maybe not, because I haven't exactly talked about Frank Ocean on this channel before, but Frank Ocean, honestly, I don't even really have a comment on this one. Just please come back. Please, please, please come back to music, Frank. Come on, we miss you. But yeah, no, Channel Orange, I mean, considering, like, alongside the release of the album, it's when he came out as bisexual. Like, he said that most of the songs were about, like, a man that he had fallen in love with. You know, it's crazy. And I feel like this album really did shift the culture in terms of, like, the cultural acceptance of LGBTQ people in R&B and hip-hop. Because, like, before Frank Ocean, there really were no, like, openly gay rappers who really rappers or singers who really, like, stood a chance in the mainstream. My personal favorite song off the album is Sweet Life, but if I had to pick a song for Pride, I'd have to say its biggest hit, Thinking About You. A beautiful song, and I mean, he explicitly says boy on it, so I don't know how else I can really interpret it. And for the third Orange album, man who had kind of confusing history with was he gay, was he bisexual, or was he just straight and being flamboyant in his early career? I don't know, but I think it's safe to say he's still a gay icon. David Bowie, Low. But yeah, Low, that was, I think, the first of... I want to say that Low was the first or second of his Berlin trilogy. Actually, look it up. Yeah, it's the first of his Berlin trilogy with Brian Eno, kind of responsible for helping bring Brian Eno to popularity. And, you know, that Berlin trilogy of albums is, honestly, I think his best work, and I think a lot of other people would agree. Low is one of his best albums, and while there's not exactly like a queer song on here, you know, once again, the gays love Bowie. And I'm not even really sure what my favorite song off this album would be. You know, Low is an iconic album. All of its songs are beautiful compositions, revolutionary for just art rock music, some of the most important music that I think was ever really recorded in the 20th century. But if I had to pick one song I would have to say that I would go with Art Decade, because even though that's an instrumental, I feel really just speaks to me that emotionally. Brian Eno's synth work on that song is just phenomenal. Oh, and really, like, this is just an absolutely amazing collaboration between the two. I think this is one of my favorites. I would say it's a little underrated, actually, that song. Anyways, for the fourth one in Orange. Okay, this might be a little controversial that I didn't put this in red because she has red hair on this album cover, but The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan. Now, Chappell Roan was one of the biggest breakout stars of last year. And let's be real, if you were paying attention to all the pop music and you were listening to the new albums as they were coming out, you also listened to an album from the year prior, because this album just basically had a reverse album bomb with its singles after Good Luck Babe was released, and that blew up like crazy. And she's openly lesbian. She's been openly lesbian, and she's also openly demisexual too. And her music is just perfect for the spirit of Pride Month, the spirit of the season, all of it, for the very obvious reason that she does not sugarcoat her queerness at all. But if I had to pick one Pride anthem, I would go with Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl. Why? Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl is a song where it feels like Chappell Roan kind of is it feels like it's a song about realizing that you're queer, that you are, in Chappell's case, a lesbian, and celebrating that fact rather than worrying about any discrimination or anything. It's such a celebratory, beautiful dance pop track, and I think it's my favorite song by her, to be quite honest with you all. And now for the last two, one or two of these, last two, I'm gonna have to go with
Plastic Beach.
You know what? Sure. Gorillaz, Plastic Beach. Beautiful record, really. The Gorillaz, yet another case of a band that's not explicitly queer at all. Well, I forgot. I don't quite know the lore of the Gorillaz cartoon members, so I think one of the cartoon members of the virtual band of Gorillaz might be bisexual. I could be wrong, so I guess that counts or something. But once again, they're just beloved. They're just beloved by a certain type of person who, most likely a member of this community. I wouldn't say Plastic Beach has any songs to me that are queer, directly queer. I would have to say On Melancholy Hill, speaking of Chappell Roan, On Melancholy Hill kind of sounds like Good Luck Babe, so you know what, I think that's just the preemptive lesbian anthem, I guess. It's such a beautiful love song, and the fact that it doesn't really gender the song's love interest kind of makes it sort of all-inclusive. It's with what Daft Punk did with Digital Love. Yeah, it's just a beautiful song. And for my last one, the iconic, legendary, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That's just undeniable. Apple Music called The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill the greatest album of all time. Now, to be clear, I think Apple Music's whole greatest albums of all time list was based more on one, streams, and two, just what kind of I think that list is kind of basic. A lot of people were really upset with that whole list. Some people were upset that Lauryn Hill was number one over Thriller. Me personally, as much as I love Michael Jackson and I love Thriller, I gotta say Lauryn Hill kind of deserved that. Not that I would have cared, but it is that phenomenal of an album. Obviously, Lauryn Hill's notorious for having basically released no music after this. We don't talk about MTV Unplugged. But if this is your only album ever, what a record to really go out on. Go in and go out on, I guess. And don't get me wrong, she still plays shows live and she's still an incredible musician. But I gotta say, there are not many albums quite as diverse genre-wise and not as musically intricate as this record. Lauryn Hill truly is on another level of just composition and songwriting. An amazing singer, amazing rapper, truly one of the most talented musicians of all time. That's why people wanted to release another album so bad. For a Pride song, I guess Do Up That Thing. I mean, that's not really a gay song, but, you know. Now for Yellow. No, I'm not putting Coldplay on here. If you thought about it,
Yellow.
they were all yellow.
Let me think of some suggestions. You should do MGMT.
I forgot the name of it, but this album by MGMT.
Little Dark Age.
Oh yeah, I forgot. The card just says LDA on it. But yeah, Little Dark Age, that's their best album. And while it sucks that, like, I think they kind of hate it now because of the song going super viral on TikTok or something, even though the members of MGMT, as far as I'm aware, are both straight, I think that it's not really, like, a surprise that their music resonates a lot with a queer audience. For a queer song off of it, a queer pride anthem, I mean, me and Michael, again, I don't think it's, like, I wouldn't say it's explicitly queer, but, you know, it feels like it's him singing about being in a relationship with this guy, Michael. Apparently, initially was just called Me and My Girl, but they changed My Girl to Michael, which I like that because it honestly makes the song a lot more interesting. Also, there's a line that's like binary stars sync, which, I mean, yeah, I guess that's not necessarily like about gender, but like, come on, the non-binary correlation is obvious. I mean, once again, if we're just going off of color and not so much off of how queer the music is, although I say that, meanwhile, Andy Warhol is partially responsible for this band even being, like, as well known as they are now. The Velvet Underground. The album with the banana on it. What was it called again?
Ooh. The Velvet Underground and Nico.
Yeah, The Velvet Underground and Nico. A legendary album. You know, everyone knows the quote, the album sold 6,000 copies, but every one of them started a band. Yeah, this is one of the most influential bands of all time, despite their underground status. And, I mean, Andy Warhol is, like, the reason that they're even famous, because, like, he noticed them, and even though I think the members of the Velvet Underground were straight, they were really immersed in the queer underground culture, which inspired a lot of the songwriting on it. I guess the kind of obligatory pride anthem would be Venus and Furs. Not exactly going to be elaborating on that, but if you've heard it, you know why. For the third Yellow album, I'm gonna do something a little bit maybe controversial. I'm actually gonna go for an EP. Don't Smile at Me by Billie Eilish. Now this was Billie Eilish's debut EP, and although she didn't exactly, like, come out as being bisexual until many, many years later, I still feel like you could interpret the album in some queer ways. Like, I feel like, in particular, Bellyache kind of feels a little bit queer to me, at least. For my fourth Yellow album, I'm actually going to choose a pretty recent release. Like, this came out last year. Please Don't Cry by Rhapsody. Now, Rhapsody, I think, is very underrated in the scope of female rappers. Like, I'd call her one of the greatest female rappers, like, of all time, and yet I feel like she doesn't get anywhere close to the attention that she honestly deserves. This album was phenomenal. I believe I put in my list of my favorite albums of 2024 that I included, like, briefly at the end of my best hit songs of 2024 video, and I would still agree with that even now. It's fun, it's phenomenal. And of course, for a queer song off of it, I would have to go with Stand Tall, you know, the one where she, like, addresses rumors, and even though she isn't exactly, like, hasn't exactly admitted to being LGBTQ herself, you know, that's a song that could work very well as, like, an empowerment anthem. And for the fifth one, I'm gonna go with Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Not that much of an inherently queer album, but Jimi Hendrix, well, I think there were rumors that he was bisexual. I'm not sure if that was ever, like, confirmed, but I believe there were rumors of him being bi I'm not sure if that was true at all. For a queer song off this album, I'm gonna go with just the iconic one, Purple Haze. I mean, that's like about, I know it's about like going on a psychedelic trip, though I know Jimi Hendrix himself said it was a love song. And while I believe he says kiss the sky, there's been the famously misheard lyric, excuse me while I kiss this guy. Kind of makes the song a bit more queer than Jimi Hendrix probably intended it to be. But, you know, what an iconic album. Rest in power, Jimi Hendrix. And for the last Yellow album on here, I'm actually going to go with another one that's not explicitly queer, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong, though. But is still beloved by the queers. Are We Not Men? We Are Devo by Devo, of course. There's a certain type of person who loves Devo, they're gay, who loves this album, loves Devo. I'm kind of one of those people. I definitely do enjoy this album quite a lot. None of it's like explicitly queer or anything. I can't really come up with a good queer song for Are We Not Men, We Are Devo by Devo, but you know, they're beloved. They are not explicitly queer, but like their music does resonate a lot with a queer audience, and for good reason. And that's all for Yellow. We are now halfway through the main Pride flag. Okay guys, so as you can see I made a couple edits. I decided to change the Sebastian remix album to Number One Angel by Charli XCX. I mean, she's a gay icon, of course, even if she is straight herself. And I also decided to take out MGMT's Little Dark Age and instead go for Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. That's one of his best albums, and he's like the gay icon of all time. The actually gay icon, you know. As for which songs I would pick from both of them for Pride, I would pick Roll With Me for Number One Angel because that was produced by Sophie, of course, the late legendary trans female producer, rest in power. And for Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, I'm going to pick Benny and the Jets for no other reason than I like it a lot. Although I think I once heard someone say that Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting is about Stonewall. So if that's true, then that one. But anyways, now time for Green. I'm going to get the obvious one out of the way. Yes, Brat's going in here. But not the original. I'm specifically going to be choosing the Brat remix album. Oh, Brat and it's completely different, but also still Brat. Because I like this remix album more than the original, actually. Not just that, but it actually does feature some queer artists on it, whereas the original is a solo album. Remix album features the Japanese House, she's a lesbian. It features Shy Girl, she's queer. It features Billie Eilish, she's bisexual, as we previously discussed. And it features a few other artists who are also just gay icons in themselves, like Ariana Grande, Kesha. As for what song I would pick off this album for Pride, you don't have to guess. It's guess, but also I will say So I featuring Nature Cook is just an absolutely beautiful tribute to the late Sophie. And for my next Green album, this might be a little controversial because this doesn't look like Green, but it is. Chromacopia. Like, there's a green tint to this black and white, okay? And like an alternate cover for the album is just like the word chromacopia with like horns at the ends on a green background. So yeah, and plus this album also talks about Tyler's, the creator's, bisexuality. But I'd say the big one for big song for Pride, Take Your Mask Off. That song pretty much explicitly talks about like a closeted gay priest preaching homophobic rhetoric, and he says like, oh, I hope you take your mask off, as in like I hope you stop preaching this hate, in one of the verses. And it's just, that's a beautiful song. That's actually probably my favorite song off the album. So yeah. And as for the third Green album, I'm actually gonna go for something that's once again not explicitly queer, more so just a personal favorite. This also has something to do with someone who passed away earlier this month, the legendary Brian Wilson. Rest in peace. I'm putting in Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. That's one of the most legendary albums of all time. I mean, it's partially what inspired the Beatles to go super psychedelic, and it's the album that really proved Brian Wilson's musical genius to the world. On top of that, it's just really good songs. So if I had to pick just one, this is probably the obvious choice. But I'm gonna say God Only Knows. That's one of the most beautiful songs ever recorded. It's no wonder that Paul McCartney himself said that he thought of it was like the best song ever and was better than anything he could ever have written. And I think he duetted it with Brian Wilson even, which is insane. So yeah, beautiful album, beautiful song. Rest in peace, Brian Wilson. Anyways, for my next album, I'm gonna go with another legendary band. This one with a notably bisexual frontman. News of the World by Queen. Now, Queen's music didn't exactly have many explicit queer themes, and that really includes this album, but multiple Queen songs could be taken as being about Freddie Mercury's queerness, and also just the fact that it's a band with male members named Queen. So if I had to go with a queer anthem for News of the World, I mean, I feel like We Are the Champions, even though that's kind of just like a victory anthem in general, I mean, and like it's played at every sporting event ever, I know, but we gotta be real. We Are the Champions is like about liberation, and some people I think have like said that it might be about Freddie Mercury coming to terms with his own sexuality and stuff and celebrating himself for it, even though it's not like said explicitly. And in that case, I think it's really beautiful for that. For the 5th Green album for Pride Month. Now this is another straight artist but is a gay icon, has explicitly allied herself with the community. Lemonade by Beyonce. You know, once again, nothing explicitly queer on here. Well, you know, Beyonce's loved by the gays. She needs no real explanation. This is an iconic breakup album for a breakup that didn't actually end up happening. But still. Also, it features Jack White, and I was really considering putting in the White Stripes' Elephant in the red row, but ultimately I decided not to, so Don't Hurt Yourself is kind of justification for that. And you know what? I'm gonna call Don't Hurt Yourself the gay anthem on here, but like the queer on like the rage side of things. Anyways, for the final Green album, I'm gonna go with something that might shock you all, and I mean really shock you all. Like none of you are seeing this coming. Are you two ready, Mega and Nick?
Sure. What is it?
Minecraft Volume Alpha.
Ooh.
Yeah, by C418. So this is a choice that I don't really. I mean, I shouldn't have to explain. I mean, it's memed to crap, but the Minecraft soundtrack is probably one of the best video game soundtracks in history. C418 is a musical genius, and he also, even though I believe he is straight, he is a massive supporter of LGBTQ rights and trans rights. So, you know, we love him. We love C418, and this is one of the best soundtracks of all time. But also, go listen to C418's other music if you get the chance. Now we go down to Blue. So for Blue, I had a few albums in mind. One of these I'm sharing with Nick's Topster, the rest are completely different. So I'll get the one that I'm sharing with Nick out of the way. 100 Gex by 100 Gex. 100 Gex by, well, no, I should clarify. 1000 Gex by 100 Gex. One of the most famous hyperpop albums of all time, probably. Like, this was in the early 2020s. This was when everyone started to like find out what hyperpop was, and when it started to like really blow up in the mainstream. And 100 Gex, you know, led by, of course, Laura Les, who is trans. It's the iconicness of this hyperpop album. This is just the best explorations of the genre, really. I mean, as the whole album is like super obviously queer, but if I had to pick, I'm gonna go with Ringtone, because that has a remix with Charlie XCX on it, and I'm gonna fully admit I am biased for Charlie XCX. Anyways, for our next one, I'm doing another super iconic hyperpop. In fact, I would probably call this the best hyperpop album of all time that isn't by a member of PC Music or Sophie. Wall Socket by Underscores. I was considering putting the director's cut in the orange row, but I didn't want to change out any more of the orange ones. But wall socket, I mean, I guess I could have put the director's cut in the orange and then just put, like, Fishmonger here instead. Actually, you know what? Hold up, I'm just gonna do that. So I guess I'll briefly explain. Fishmonger is a wonderful hyperpop album. Its songs are all, like, insanely catchy, and to be honest, Underscore, since I found out about her last year, she's quickly become, like, one of my favorite artists. Spoiled Little Brat is a song that speaks a lot to me personally, so I guess that's a song I'll pick from Fishmonger. And for Wall Socket, director's cut, which I put in orange, you know, that's just a, you know, Fishmonger walked so that Wall Socket could run. Both are like concept albums in a sense, but Wall Socket really like fleshes out the concept of this fictional town in Midwest America. It's a brilliant exploration of disillusionment with society. I mean, honestly, it's really hard to explain the album if you haven't heard it yourself, so I highly recommend you just go listen to it yourself, because Wall Socket is just truly wonderful. But if I had to pick one song from it, from the director's cut, well, the director's cut is just the deluxe version, which is orange, hence why I put in the orange one, and it's just better because it has more songs. I will pick Locals, Girls Like Us, because that's how I found out about Underscores, was that song.
I think you put in the cover for Fishmonger.
No, that was intentional. I put the Wall Socket director's cut in the orange row, see?
Ah, you're right.
And then I put Fishmonger in blue, so yeah. So yeah, I'm just replacing Wall Socket with Fishmonger for the blue one, and then replacing Gorillas with Underscore so that it can be a bit more different. Anyways, here's the next one. Once again, not explicitly queer, but has shown support for the community. Awaken My Love, Childish Gambino. This is his best album by miles for me. Because, don't get me wrong, Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, is a wonderful rapper, but also a surprisingly good singer. And him exploring this like retro psychedelic funk, like this is the type of music that is my absolute weakness. Nick put in Parliament Funkadelics, Mothership Connection, I want to say, was the album. And this is kind of my sort of replacement for that, because I love Parliament Funkadelic stuff. This album explores like the Parliament Funkadelic like sound, but even more beautifully, because it still has that modern touch to it. And so for that, Awaken My Love is just one of my favorite albums. If I had to pick just one song off of it that was like kind of queer, I guess Zombies? Yeah, let's go with that. Anyways, for the fourth album, that is in the blue section, I'm going to talk about Lorde. But not about the one you're thinking. You guys probably think I'm going to talk about Melodrama, right? But no, I'm talking about her new album, Virgin. The opening track literally has her saying, "Some days I'm a woman, some days I'm a man." This is an album that explores Lorde's own conflict with like her own gender identity. And so for that, this is like actually an explicitly queer Lorde album, and for a queer song off of it, I'm gonna have to say that opening track, Hammer. You guys can expect, by the way, to my viewers, you can expect a review of Virgin pretty soon-ish on my channel. Time for the fifth blue album. I'm gonna go with Flamboyant by Dorian Electra. This is probably their best work so far. Dorian Electra, if you don't know them, they are a gender-fluid singer-songwriter. They've collaborated with Charlie XCX and Lady Gaga as well on a remix of Replay by Lady Gaga. Actually, you know what? Because Lady Gaga's bi, I'm actually going to replace Lemonade with Dawn of Chromatica, which is, to me, the pre-Brad, and it's completely different when it comes to remix albums. The fact it's also green is one thing, but it's also just the fact that she that Gaga, who is bisexual herself, chose to explicitly collaborate with other queer artists, with the only exception being like Charlie XCX and A.G. Cook, which at that point it's like, they might be straight, but I think they count. It actually includes a collaboration with Dorian Electra as well, and it includes a collaboration with Charlie XCX. It also includes collaborations with Shy Girl, who also appears on the Brat remix album. And it concludes, Ash Nico and many other great artists. So to all the Lady Gaga stans here, if you haven't actually checked out Dawn of Chromatica, please do, because in my opinion, it's like way better than the original Chromatica. I like the original Chromatica a lot with its whole 90s house thing, but the Dawn of Chromatica remix album, I love even more. It feels like, to me, Dawn of Chromatica is what Chromatica could have been, and so I'm really happy that we got to see that side of things. Anyways, back to Dorian Electra. Yeah, no, Flamboyant is just a great album, and I'll pick the song, and I guess just to keep things simple, I'll make that the song I pick. Oh, and I'll make the Replay Dorian Electra remix the song I pick from Dawn of Chromatica by Lady Gaga, because that's my favorite track on the album, actually. I love the way it fuses metal with techno and house. And for the final Blue album, this is another case of a straight artist who has given their support to the community. In the Zone by Britney Spears. To be honest, I could have also put Blackout in the orange section. Really, the orange section is probably where I have like the most conflict in my head, because there's so many like amazing orange queer albums. But anyways, as for Britney, In the Zone, I mean, this is an album that is beloved by the community, and for a queer song off of here, I mean, y'all probably think I'm gonna say Toxic or Me Against the Music due to it being a collaboration with Madonna, who, little known fact, is bisexual herself. And of course, you know, Madonna and Britney Spears famously had the VMAs kiss. But no, I'm actually not going to say that. I'm going to say Breathe on Me, because that's my favorite song off the album, and I think it deserves more attention, so that's why I'm highlighting it. And now for the final row of this pride flag, we are going to go with Purple. So as for Purple albums, I'm starting with a suggestion from my friend Mr. Husteen, who is a big fan of this musician. So am I, really, but he's an even bigger fan, and this album literally helped define his artistry. If y'all guys want to check out Mr. Husteen's music, I will put a link to it in the description. Same with Nick and Mega. But anyways, Confessions on a Dance Floor by Madonna. Now, most of you probably have already heard Hun Up, but this whole album is just really, really great dance pop. I feel like it's kind of underrated. I would personally consider it Madonna's like last great album after, you know, the kind of not goodness of American Life, and especially because after Confessions on the Dance Floor, she kind of started following trends instead of setting them. With Madonna, with Confessions on a Dance Floor, I would say that she simultaneously came late to the sort of French touch disco house boom, but came early to the EDM boom, and that's probably why the album didn't do like super like well on the charts or whatever, on top of maybe like people still kind of recoiling from American Life a little bit. Hun Up is one of the most iconic pop songs of all time, but this album has even more jams than that. It has Get Together, it has Sorry on it, Future Lovers, or I Love New. Actually, basically the whole album is just perfect dance pop, to be honest. So I would recommend to all of you. If I had to pick one song off of it, I'm gonna pick Future Lovers. That's a song that is like the most It Sounds Like I Feel Loved by Donna Summer song that is not I Feel Loved by Donna Summer. I think that's proven by the fact that Madonna literally sang Future Lovers as a medley with I Feel Love on the Confessions on a Dance Floor tour, which, by the way, is probably her second best tour. First best is Girly Show, but that's besides the point. Now, as for the second Purple album, we are going to go with something maybe a little bit unexpected. Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. Now, this is an album, I'll specifically do the Spilled deluxe version. Guts is better than Sour, I have to say. Personally, I think a lot of people disagree with that statement, but I like it more because it leans way more into the hard rock type stuff than into the ballad stuff. Feels like much more equally split between ballads and the more rocking tracks, whereas I felt like Sour was a little ballad heavy for me. Guts, though, masterpiece. Maybe not masterpiece, but it's definitely like the opposite of a sophomore slump. And you know, there's so many amazing songs on this album. Bad Idea, Right, Get Him Back, Lacey, more songs in there. And if I had to pick one from the original that was kind of a good queer song, it'd be Lacey, because that song's like technically about a dude, sort of, but like it's very much about her kind of like fantasizing for his new girlfriend, which is like, I guess, kind of weird, but I think that it works to the song's benefit extremely well. And for the kind of opposite dynamic, I would say the Spilled track Obsessed is probably my favorite song by her in general, besides Bad Idea, Right? Where she talks about fantasizing for her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend because the ex-girlfriend used to do the things that Olivia does now. She plays into the fantasy of it, but also into the sort of horror of it. And I don't know. That just feels queer to me, even if it's in like a technically straight context. But anyways, that's all I have to really say about that. Now, as for the third Purple album, you guys might be surprised by this, but 1999 by Prince. Prince is, once again, another, I don't actually even know if he supported the LGBTQ community or not. I like to think he did. He never really, like, came out as bi or anything. He probably was heterosexual, which is kind of hard to believe. But anyways, 1999 is, in my opinion, it's better than Purple Rain. Might shock some of you. Maybe not better than Purple Rain, actually. It's on par with Purple Rain. This is another masterpiece of just funk and pop and R&B, soul and rock. I mean, this is what broke him into the mainstream for good reason. I mean, 1999, Little Red Corvette, Delirious, Let's Pretend We're Married, Automatic. That's like the best 5-track run I can think of just in history. Well, actually, it might have been DMSR after Let's Pretend We're Married. But either way, one of the best opening runs of tracks in any album ever. You know, no like queer songs on here. This isn't an album about that, but Wendy and Lisa were notably dating at this time, so there's your little bit of queer trivia, and I'm pretty sure that Prince was supportive of their relationship, which is awesome. I would say that Automatic is what I think is the underrated favorite song for me off of this album, so that's my recommendation to y'all. And for the fourth and third to last Purple album, we're gonna talk briefly about Currents by Tame Impala. Once again, kind of a similar thing to Prince, but I think he's given his support to the LGBTQ community. But yeah, Tame Impala is beloved by really probably the same type of person that likes Devo and Talking Heads and all that, but like, this is just an iconic album right here. I mean, I feel like everyone's kind of saying its praises already. It's beloved by my generation at least. So just go listen to the whole thing yourself. I'll just say that rather than like any one particular song off of it. I mean, you've probably already heard Same Old Person, Different Mistakes. That's not the name of that song.
The less I know, the better.
Well, yeah, that's like the big hit that everyone knows. But I recommend the whole album to everyone. For the second to last Purple album and the second to last album in the regular Pride flag, I'm gonna go with Master of Reality by Black Sabbath. Yeah, this is another case where I don't know at all. I don't think that there's any sort of queer way to read into this, but you know, I kind of wanted to include some metal on here. What better way to do it than the people who literally got the genre's name to be coined because of like a negative review of their first album. And Master of Reality is where they really like invented the sound, I'd say. It's a great album. Not really going to recommend a particular song off of it. It's just a classic. And for the final album on here, I'm going to go with one that is shared with me and Nixter, but I don't even care because this is an album that is just so beautiful and so important to me that I'm like actually starting to tear up a little just thinking about it. Oil of Every Pearl's on Insides by Sophie. God, I mean, I miss her, to put it bluntly. So much. Rest in power, Sophie. Will be missed. This is a absolute magnum opus of a debut album. There really is no comparing it to like anything else like that exists really. Like even amongst like hyperpop type stuff, like Sophie's production style, especially here, is just so different. It's so unique. It's so unlike anything that's ever really come before it. Once again, I want to recommend the whole album. If I had to put a particular song as my highlight, I'm actually going to say the opening track, It's Okay to Cry. That was the first ever song by Sophie that I heard, and it's also how she came out as a trans woman, was that song and its music video, where she used her voice in a song for the first time and where she used her face in a music video for the first time. And so it's really just a beautiful project, and I'm happy to end this Topster with it. So that's all for the main Pride flag Topster. However, I will take a little break and I'll cut, and when I come back, we're gonna do a couple other little pride flag topsters as well for the video. So, see you guys there. Hey guys, Editing Penny here. Just wanted to say that per the suggestion of my friend, Mr. Husteen, whose music you can check out in the description as I said before, I also did a version of that Pride Topster with the original Gilbert Baker Pride flag design, which includes the colors pink and teal, which of course on the one everybody knows, where those two colors were taken off due to printing costs, I believe. And so I added 2 extra rows. As you can see, for pink, I chose, I'll go in order, Tyler the Creator, Igor. We've already talked about Tyler the Creator with Flower Boy and with Chromacopia. Igor is what I considered his best album until Chromacopia came out. It's a phenomenal masterpiece. For one like song for Pride from Igor, I would say A Boy Is a Gun. I mean, that's just like queer yearning, you know. And then I do Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix by Phoenix. That's just really like a personal favorite of mine. I wouldn't really say anything about it is like for Pride necessarily, but you know, it's the correct color. Then I chose Macintosh Plus Floral Shop. You know, that's like one of the most famous, most important vaporwave albums of all time, and it's by a trans woman, which is just awesome. Then for Bjork Post, as I said before, she was a gay icon. Oh yeah, you can also see I replaced the other Bjork album with Crazy Sexy Cool, because Mr. Husteen also suggested that one, and I thought I like that Crazy Sexy Cool a bit better than the other Bjork album I chose. Post to me is like Bjork's best work for me, or perhaps it's between Post, Homogenic, and Vespertine. That's like my golden trilogy of Bjork albums. Anyways, then I do Slater's debut self-titled mixtape, She's Bisexual, and quite frankly, she should be a lot bigger. She's like the American Charlie XCX, pretty much. I wish she was a lot bigger. And if there was like I probably should have put like her album from 2023, I want to say, which I can't exactly say the name of here because it's I can't exactly say the name of it here, but if you know what it is, you know what it's called. I should put that in blue, really. And then I put lastly for the pink row, I put My Bloody Valentine Loveless. You know, that's one of the, I'm not that big into shoegaze, but even I think this album is amazing. Then there's, on the teal then, we have Madonna again with Ray of Light, which I consider to be her magnum opus, and kind of goes hand in hand with Confessions in the terms of like it being dance pop perfection, although I'd say Ray of Light's more so just like electronica. And then we have The Age of Pleasure by Janelle Monáe. I thought about taking out one of the Blue albums to put on Dirty Computer, and I probably should like that album a little bit more than Age of Pleasure, but I'm content just putting The Age of Pleasure on here. I'm not sure what song would be good for Pride. I feel like the whole album is kind of... And for Ray of Light, the best song for Pride would probably be Nothing Really Matters. I mean, that's a song about... That song's chorus is, nothing really matters, love is all we need. I mean, I think that's kind of just what Pride is all about, you know? And then we have Weezer's Teal album, which is a cover album. You know, you might have seen earlier, my friend Nixter, he put Weezer's Blue album in the blue one, and I thought just like a little callback to that, I'd put Weezer's Teal album in here, which is an album of covers and stuff. Not really like gay or anything, but you know, it's just a good album. Although, to be fair, speaking of TLC, they do cover No Scrubs on, and it's actually pretty good. I think that Chili herself thought that their cover was awesome, and I think that's cool. And then I kind of cheat. In fact, that's not even really teal there. It really is more of a blue, and it's also not an album, it's a single, but Window Liquor by Aphex Twin. That's just, you know, one of the best 90s electronic songs ever. It's one of Aphex Twins' best compositions to this day, even if it's his most popular. Maybe one of the few cases of most popular song being their best song, actually. I love the production. I love how funky it is and how many turns it takes and how it's, you know, it feels like you never really know where it's going next. and I feel that way every time I listen to it, and that's probably like over 50 times since I discovered this song. And then we have The Strokes' Is This It? I was gonna do their other album that's like a bit more teal. Is This It? Could arguably considered yellow, but I don't really care. I like Is This It a lot better than the other option. And then we have, well, as a callback to the fact that this was inspired by Nixter, I put in his compilation EP Right Now as the final one in the teal row. And it's a great EP. It's filled with just some really nice future funk and stuff. I think that, you know, it goes hand in hand with a bit of the music on this list, so I think you guys should totally check it out, especially because, you know, he's my friend, so, and I want to support my friends and all that. So anyways, that's really going to be all for this video as well. I was thinking of doing the trans pride flag as well, and the bisexual pride flag as well, but I decided not to, just to save time. Okay, so there was a little cut in the video because I noticed that Queen News of the World was just randomly gone from this for no apparent reason at all. But anyways, this is the finished Gilbert Baker Topster. If you guys enjoy it, let me know what you guys would put on your Topster for Pride in the comments below if you like this video. I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, that's it. That's really all I gotta say. I also will say, alongside this video, on my other channel, I have also uploaded a Pride Month DJ mix, which includes some of the artists on this list. Not all of them, but some of them. And also not all the albums on this list, but, you know, there's just so much great queer music out there that including all of it in one mix would just be kind of impossible. So, like, if your favorite queer artist is omitted from that, please don't, like, complain. But I might incorporate them in a future mix as well. You know, not necessarily themed to Pride Month, but, you know, just in general, because I love a lot. As you can tell, like, I love a lot of music. Anyways, that's all for this video. I'm kind of just rambling at this point. See you guys. Go check out my Pride Month DJ mix. See you next time. Bye-bye.